What's going on, everyone? Good Thursday evening to everyone. Climate data report here with a update on Major Hurricane Lee for Thursday, September 7th, 2023. Hurricane Lee quickly strengthened today into a major hurricane. The Hurricane Center now says Lee, now a Category 4 hurricane. Rip currents and hazardous surf will spread across the northern Caribbean Friday and begin affecting the mainland United States by Sunday. I'm going to run over the latest numbers for Lee. I'm going to show you the latest satellite and some information and data that just came in, models, and also a wild card that is being brought up by the National Hurricane Center, which that I will show at the end of the video. First off, here's the 5 p.m. numbers. The 5 p.m. numbers are as follows. Hurricane Lee is moving west-northwest at 15 miles per hour. Minimum pressure is down to 953 millibars. Maximum sustained winds, 130 miles per hour, which means it is now a Category 4. It literally skipped over Category 3 and went to Category 4. And one of the reasons why that is, I mean, at some point it probably was a Category 3. It's just due to where it's located, it's not near land right now. So updates are, you get the 5 a.m. update, 11 a.m., and then 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. You don't have in-between updates. If there was a 2 p.m. advisory this afternoon, it might have still been a Category 3. But because there wasn't, it just skipped right over to classification. Just skipped right over to Category 4. And I believe that's the first time this has ever happened. If someone knows of another time that has happened, put it down in the comments down below. I would like to know. Alrighty, taking a look at two different versions of satellite. Here's the actual satellite, which goes into visible satellite, which does go into nighttime mode here. And you can see here, this system is just very impressive right now. There's a very well-defined eye wall. Its inner core is very impressive. Then we come over to this, and infrared satellite. What more can I say? I mean, for Atlantic Basin hurricanes, this is really impressive. We know it's moving west-northwest. We know there's little shear. We know there is still very warm waters ahead of it for several days, meaning this has a real chance of becoming a Category 5, if not already is a Category 5, because, let me tell you something, this just in, let's go over here to the hurricane hunters. That's right, Reckon is actually flying in a storm. Look at this. They're finding that pressures are already in the 930s. It says here 936. And they're also finding that winds are close to a Category 5 already, if not already is one. So we may see this become a Category 5 storm on the 11 p.m. advisory tonight. Now let's take a look at the intensity from the hurricane models, and there's something I want to point out here. They initialized 18Z at Category 3. A lot of these did not have this going to Category 4 until tonight, so this storm is just outperforming the models. It's outperforming the regular global models as well. I mean, by all means, this storm is really starting to gain some ground. Now here's the tropical plots, and again, take these with a grain of salt right now, because hurricane hunters right now, as you saw, you can see here, they're flying into the storm. They're actually collecting data that will be sent back to the National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service, and NCEP, where the models are ran. And that data will actually be fed into the models. Now, it won't make it in time for tonight's model runs, but it will probably be in tomorrow morning's model runs. And with that data, we could see a change in what these models are currently showing. So here's the tropical tracks. And you can see here the plots. They're called spaghetti plots. As this moves west-northwest, as we get to around 120 hours out, this is next week, we expect to see some sort of a north turn. There's questions as where that will happen. You can see here some models are more northeast, some are more to the west. And look at this. You're seeing here, there's a couple of them that say, wait a second. Maybe this will still be moving west at that time and not turning north. There's actually more than a couple of them. I see 1, 2, at least 3 or 4 of them that are still going west at that time frame. And that is a wild card, believe it or not. I was going to show this at the end. Might as well show it now. That was a wild card that was brought up by the NAC. Let's read here. Confidence remains high in the track for Lee, with almost no change made to the NAC track forecast. Lee should continue moving west-northwest along the southern edge of the subtropical ridge for the next 5 days. The ridge is forecast to gradually weaken by early next week, causing Lee to slow down. This track should keep the core of Lee and its damaging winds north of the Leeward Islands. There is uncertainty in any northward turn of Lee beginning early next week, but it is too soon to speculate about specific potential impacts a week or more out. And they're right. A week or more out, you can't. With these models, I mean, this is a major storm, so you can't speculate. But again, repeating, they say there is uncertainty in any northward turn. So where is it going to be? Is it going to turn north at all? That's kind of what they're talking about here. All right, moving on now, let's take a look at a couple of the models, then we'll take a look at some ensembles. Here's the European, and I will say this, for impacts on the U.S. or any land, the European is the most extreme of the models. You can see the European comes west, but I should back up and note to you here that the European, for this time frame, right now, here it is, 0Z Friday, which we're coming close to 0Z time frame, and you can see here, it is significantly too weak with this storm. So that right there could already possibly throw the model off. And you can see as this comes west, it continues west, then watch what happens as we get to next Wednesday. That's where it starts to make that northward turn. And as it comes north, you can see there is a trough that's in the eastern United States. And with that trough, along that, there could be some very heavy rainfall or maybe some training thunderstorms that do set up. But then we have to watch this. Look where Lee goes on the European. Yes, it does actually hit New England. Now, this is the most extreme solution. I'm not going to say it's right. I'm not going to say it's wrong, because it will likely change. Again, we're talking about late next week that we would get into that time frame. Now, here's the GFS, which shows something completely different. But the one thing it does have is that northward turn. And it does happen late on Wednesday of next week. Then we get into late next week, and here's the GFS. You saw the European hits New England. GFS stays more east. But it does have quite a big hit for Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, where, I mean, you do get hit with at least hurricane force winds, which that would be pretty bad. Now let's go take a look at the ensembles. And we'll take a look at the European one and the GFS one. Here's the European ensemble, and we want to show you the tracks. And here we go. The European, the ensembles, they do have to turn. A couple of them continue more west. There's one right here, and there's a couple outliers that are a bit more west. Here's one that comes really far west and goes right to Long Island. That's just one member. Remember, there are 50 members of the European ensembles. But what you're seeing here is, as we get to past 200 hours, look at the spread. You have some members that are very slow and far to the south. You have others that race to the north and are much faster. So that's telling us that there is still a lot of disagreement in this time frame. Let's go over to the GEFS. We'll use the 18Z run, and you can see it's a similar deal. You do get some good agreement earlier on. Then as time goes on, that agreement, it kind of dwindles a little bit. But I will say this, the GEFS is a bit more east than the European ensemble. Finally, let's take a look at one of the newer hurricane models. This is the HAFS-A parent model. There's a reason why we want to show you this model. And you can see, let's fast forward to where we are right about now. And this would be 21Z Thursday, 0Z Thursday. So you can see right now, it is showing that it is in 930. So this is actually doing pretty good on strength. As we advance this, it does show it getting stronger. Look at this. It actually gets down to 900 millibars. And quite frankly, at this point, you cannot rule that out. You can see it continues moving west-northwest. But watch what happens as we move into next week. Look what you're not seeing here. You're not seeing that big northward turn just yet. And if anything, it starts moving west a little bit more. It does also slow down. So at some point, while it's slowing down, you can see here, at some point, it should start to turn north. But what I'm trying to point out to you here is that this model is definitely would be on the more western side of things. So here's what we know. We know that Lee, it's now a major hurricane. It's going to be a Category 5 tonight. We know it's going to continue strengthening at least for the next 24 hours. It may slow down in how much it's strengthening pretty soon, but it's going to maintain its strength for some time, at least through the weekend and into next week. Then the big question remains, and it's probably actually a bigger question than it was yesterday because we don't have that new Hurricane Hunter data in the models yet. Where is this going to turn north? Is it going to turn north more east? Is it going to turn more west? I mean, do not write this off for anywhere on the East Coast. Keep an eye on this because this could easily end up going more west. If this storm does not slow down like it's expected to, it's going to end up more west, and the chance of a U.S. impact would be higher. I'm not going to give percents today. Maybe we'll go back to giving a percent chance tomorrow, but right now, anywhere from the northeast on up through to Canada, just keep an eye on this storm. Could it still go out to sea? Definitely. It definitely still could go out to sea. We won't know more until tomorrow when we have more data in the models, and the models at that point will hopefully pick up that, hey, this storm intensified faster than expected. Alrighty guys, that does it for today's update. We will have another update again tomorrow at some point. You can always follow me on Climate Data Report on Twitter. I'll post a link to that down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. If you know anyone that needs to see this content, by all means, share this with them. I will see you all again next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great evening.